It's the PokerNews Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 871st episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I am Chad Holloway, back at Level 9 Studio, joined by Kyna England and Mike Holtz. We have a fun episode, likely the last of the year. We've got to wrap up the WPT World Championship. We've got to wrap up the WSOP Paradise and talk some controversial stuff. Let's start on a very lighthearted note a little bit. Daniel Negreanu, who has a big voice in the poker world, sent out a tweet recently basically saying, here are some suggestions that I think I would vote for to improve poker, to improve the player experience, if you will, and protect the game. Number one was no face covering of any sort. Number two, no sunglasses. Number three, if a player bets 90% or more of their stack, it is an all-in. And number four, no card protectors allowed on the table. Kind of, Mike, what do you guys think of these suggestions? Let's just start with number one, no face covering of any kind.
I'm just surprised that Daniel has an opinion about something in the poker world, you know? This is a surprise to me. No, I think... I actually don't mind when people wear like sunglasses or hats. Like, it's up to them, you know, it's sort of like a covering, like you're masking yourself. But I don't like the all three combo, you know, like the fact that like somebody could cover their whole face, they could cover their eyes, they could cover, like, wear a hat. I think that is a good rule that they should just, you know, be more aware of and mandate a little bit more, like one or the other, you know, like you can wear a hat or you can wear sunglasses. You can wear sunglasses or you can wear a mask. Right. You can't wear all of them at the same time, though. It just takes the fun out of the game, too. Like, it's hard to look at people like that, you know?
Mike, what about you? You're, as a guy who went from online poker and transitioned into the live realm, you know, all of a sudden you're confronted with a lot of this different stuff. What are your thoughts on Negreanu's suggestions?
Let's just get it clear here. I started as a live guy myself.
Oh, okay.
My opinion is this. I think sunglasses should be outlawed. I think they're bad for the game. I think it makes the experience worse for everyone at the table when people wearing sunglasses. Makes people less friendly. For me, I get annoyed because I never recognize anyone. They sit down and they start talking, and I'm just like, is that Ben? You know what I mean? Sometimes that part doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. But the part that does matter is it conceals tells and conceals them well, and your eyes give away a lot of stuff. So I think it's more pure for the game where you don't get to hide. I think hats are cool. Protect my bald homies, you know what I mean? Shout out my bald boys. And I think hats are cool. I think face coverings, it's like weird because, like, are you going to ban a medical thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, if people are saying it's for medical, like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? The service dog, yada, yada, what, you know.
I think you just need to limit it for sure. Yeah. And like, I don't know, I'm gonna like call my buddy out. I don't know if you were watching any of the WPT live streams, but my buddy Burke, you know Burke, he was on the live stream, and when he was playing, he was wearing a hat, he had sunglasses, and he did this like hoodie thing the whole time during the hand. And he never used to do that. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, it's just weird to see somebody, like, he's a good player, like he never needed to do that. It feels weird and it feels uncomfortable to be like playing a game with somebody that's just like, you know, like, I don't know.
I think the answer lies in what you suggested of, like, if you can't do all three, you can do two of the three or one of the three sort of thing. I like that aspect. Dylan Weissman put out a tweet, you know, saying sunglasses would be brutal for a lot of venues, have bright lights, you know, like we have the studio, which Negreanu responded, you know, you could always wear the optics that he wears.
Blue blockers.
Yeah, with the blue blockers.
Yeah.
You can still see people's eyes in that regard. For me, with sunglasses, I actually used to wear sunglasses quite a bit at the table. I think for a lot of recreational players, it's like a comfort thing. Right? You know, they might be afraid of taking a shot in a big tournament and having a Negreanu looking across the table and reading his soul sort of thing. So they feel, you know, it's like this blanket that they can protect themselves with. So
I wear sunglasses. I don't wear sunglasses when I play unless I'm not wearing makeup. So if you see me at the table with sunglasses on, there's either something wrong with my eye or I'm not wearing makeup, and that's just, you know, concealing my size. It has nothing to do with like how I'm playing or where I want to look. Or
I think no card protectors allowed on the table is an interesting one. I guess the reason might be the implication of some sort of way to cheat with them.
Well, it could just obstruct views of chips too. And I was playing a tournament recently, and I noticed like some weird blue chips that this person had, and I was like, "What are the blue chips?" And like the dealer thought I was talking about the 500s. He's like, 500. I'm like, I don't mean those. Like, I mean those. And she's like, oh, that's my card protector. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. I think in the way that it could obscure the chips, maybe limit them to a size. Maybe they have to stay flat on your cards. I don't know.
I think with card protectors, anytime you do something in poker that removes a lucky, superstitious aspect, especially for like recreational players, probably not a good thing, right? Like I remember when I was young, I used to go play bingo with my mom, and these older women loved those trolls.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like the lucky trolls. And if you had to tell them that you were taking away those trolls, they would not have been about it. I think maybe the answer lies in sort of like we were talking about with the face coverings and the sunglasses is like, you can have a card protector, but it's got to be a reasonable one, a certain size or what have you. You can't have multiple ones like some people do.
Yeah, you can't put toys all over the table.
Right. And then maybe there's a new rule that like if you have a card protector, any other player can request to see it or examine it, right? If there's any concerns or anything with cheating.
Yeah. Let me examine your car protector, Chad. Like,
I mean, a lot of the times
cheating's fixed now.
A lot of times people bring a card protector
hey,
wanting to show
my
it off.
RFID scanner. Let me get that that little troll thing you got there. I think card protectors should be banned. I think that technology getting too good these days and too much cheating stuff going on. If Negreanu's saying it, especially what number was it? Number 2 in the list?
And
was number 4.
Number 4. Okay, so
I don't know if he was saying these in order, but like he does say the reason is to protect the game, and it's hard to argue against that. I think for somebody like me or us that play in the these local Vegas events, we're not playing the high rollers like where that's got to be a very major concern. But I don't know. And here's the thing with Negreanu.
Well, I think it's a major concern around. I mean, if $1,100, $1,600, $2,200, $3,000 tournaments, they have huge prizes. Like, I mean, I don't know. I could definitely see people cheating, and you can always, something with like a little camera in it, and you see the whole card. Let's say you have it there. It certainly could see the cards. I think, right?
I did like the rule that WSOP implemented at WSOP Paradise of like, no electronics. Like, and I seen them enforcing. If somebody had their phone sitting on the rail, the floors were on it. Like, no, you can't have that sitting there. So
that's good.
And as you say, technology keeps adapting, advancing. We do got to worry about this sort of thing. So here's the thing with Negreanu now too is you kind of joked at the beginning like, oh, Negreanu's got an opinion or a voice, but like he is now. He's always been a very large voice in poker and in the World Series of Poker, but even more so now that GG owns the World Series of Poker, and he is a GG ambassador. He has a direct line of communication to Michael Kim, the owner now of GG. And so if he wants to take these suggestions, he is in a position to kind of do that, whether or not they actually implement them. But if he goes to the public sphere like he did with this, and people agree with him, there's ammunition, and it could inspire some change. So
yeah, I guess we'll see.
Well, speaking of the WSOP and decisions, there was a big one down to the WSOP Paradise. I was there, so I'll be offering my take from first-person experience, but I'm also curious to hear yours as you were both here in Vegas and what looked like unfolding from the third-party perspective. And I'm talking about Justin Bonomo, who had tweeted that he was threatened with disqualification after going deep in the WSOP Paradise 25K Super Main Event. He was wearing a keffiyeh. And I think keffiyeh, I think is how it's pronounced, keffiyeh. And that is largely associated with Palestine, and we know he's a very outspoken in support of Palestine if you follow him on social media. And he said in a social media post he was wearing this as a form of awareness or protest, what have you. And the WSOP allowed it for several days. There were many images on social media. PokerNews even took some photos. But when it got down to the final 3 tables and they were going to move all the tables to the TV set, they came and said, hey, you need to take that off or face disqualification. He tweeted about it, and it caused a pretty big uproar. What was your guys' take when, did you notice this right away? It seemed to be what everybody was talking about.
Yeah, I did notice it right away. It was all over Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how I feel about it because on one hand, yes, you do have the TV table being a little bit different with sponsors and everything and where they can sell the event after if someone's making some sort of political statement, I think they were saying, was the reason why not. I don't know, man. The whole thing's really murky. Everything's not great. It doesn't look good for WSOP. Justin Bonomo sucks too. Just in general, not because of this. For everything else, this is whatever.
I mean, a lot of people hold the same opinion, but did come to his defense in this situation. What did you make of it, Kyna?
At first, I was kind of like, yeah, it doesn't seem right. Like they shouldn't really be asking him to take that off when he's been wearing it the whole tournament already. But then I think you made the point which I agree with, is that it's televised. Like, this is something they want to market. This is something they want to sell. Maybe they would, hopefully, they would ask anyone else with political like shirts or hats or anything to take that off also, you know, if it's being televised. But who knows? I don't know. He's very outspoken about it. He was speaking out against the charity event quite a bit. So, I mean, it's very gray whether it was personal or business, like them asking him to do that. So
it was interesting because I was down there as this was unfolding, and certain stories blow up so much on social media. It's like, all right, we've got to cover this. And I am the man on the ground. So went to the WSOP and, you know, asked for a statement. And they did provide a little one which said, the request for removal of Mr. Bonomo's keffiyeh once he reached the TV production table was simply a matter of broadcast clearance, or future distribution platforms for Super Main Event do not allow garments deemed controversial or political in nature. So let me start by saying that this is not new ground. This has happened before, whether people know it or not. It was at an EPT high roller final table probably 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, Dan Coleman, right?
Yeah, Dan Coleman and Olivier Bousquet made it heads up, and they both wore, one was something about Gaza or Free Palestine shirts, and that inspired poker stars to initiate a no political statement on their clothing, right? Because they wanted to avoid that situation. And since then, it's been fine because they have a rule against it and they can enforce it. Even at the WSOP, there is a checkered history. And I say this because and I think it was 2014, if I remember right, the pair who won the tag team event wore like a Free Palestine shirts in their winner's photo. And I believe that they either had to change or those winner photos weren't used in the larger regard. There was a controversy there. But on the flip side, a lot of people pointed out, well, what about like Loren Klein? If you remember, Loren Klein won like 4 bracelets in 4 years or something like that. And he was always wearing a red MAGA hat so he was a big Trump supporter. And it was all this controversy. People were tweeting it back and forth. And they were saying, well, what about him being able to wear that? And to me, there are some differences. For one, this isn't the same old WSOP. People need to remember that. This is a GG-owned WSOP. It's not a Caesars-owned WSOP. Anything that's happened in the past as a precedent, yes, you can still cite it, but it might not be applicable. If the new owner says, I don't care, I don't like that, the way that was handled, we're going to handle it different. You can't. It's hard to argue with that, in my opinion. And number 2 is that the Loren Klein final tables were not filmed for TV. Yes, they were probably streamed. They might live on Poker Go, but again, that's different. That's the old WSOP that was partnered with Poker Go, and those weren't on ESPN or disseminated on TV. They were just live streams. Whereas this product with the new WSOP, like they have invested in a new stage, a new product. I mean, kind of you worked with GG in terms of a new product with Game of Gold. So that you probably realize like the time, effort, and what they're trying to do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a rule too when we were told to bring clothing. It couldn't say any branding. We had to have like approval to wear certain patches that, were outside of the GG brand. So they didn't want anything with writing or logos on it.
So in this instance, I think, and this is just my opinion, that this obviously asked for him to remove this. They're well within their rights for one, right? Just for the record, it is in the rule books. From a rule book perspective, the WSOP didn't do anything wrong. Now, whether or not they should have is a different question. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is grounds for a lawsuit. Good luck with that. This took place in the Bahamas, not the United States. And the new owners of the WSOP, I don't believe, are a U.S.-based corporation. So that would be hard to win. And I don't think, maybe this is just me, and I'm sure I'll get some blowback from this, but like to me, being there, having spoken with the WSOP, it was, in my opinion, a business decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't, hey, we're against Palestine, so we're enforcing this. Now, I'll talk about something that happened that I think maybe give a lot of people that impression and could very well be true in a minute. But from my perspective, it would have been the same of, like you said, like with logos, right? And I know like Matt Berkey on OnlyFriends made this comparison. He's like, well, I'm a Steelers fan. What if I was wearing Steelers gear and the floorman is from Cleveland and he came and told me to take it off? Well, I'd say like, fuck you, guy. what if that same situation happened and the guy happens to be from Cleveland and he's like, this has nothing to do with the Steelers. This has nothing to do with Palestine. This has to do with we don't have clearance to put a sports team logo on a broadcast television, right? And there's a pretty standard rule, whether it's WSOP or like reality TV, things like that. So can you remove it? Mm-hmm. And then he could say like, oh no, this is all about the Steelers. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what Bonomo did a little bit in terms of like I understand the reasoning behind it, but it became more of a political Palestine-Israel thing when, in my opinion, it was just simply a business decision to, we're trying to sell this to, look, I don't know, I've heard rumblings of like, they're not just trying to sell this to CBS Sports like the old days. Like they're trying to do like Netflix level type of shit.
Yeah. And I mean, it's streaming on YouTube, so they are generating revenue from it. So I think it's understandable. It seemed like the way that at least they came out after and made a statement about it. You know, they didn't just let it live and like let it fester in everybody's brain. But I feel like it probably for him was a very tilting event too, to like get down and be so deep. And then you're being asked to be on the TV table and all of a sudden you can't wear what you've been wearing all day. I don't know.
That. He's Justin Bonomo. He's laser focused. The guy's got pink hair. He's got a mohawk. He doesn't give a shit about that. One thing I will say is just I don't know. I think the whole thing's now that we've talked about it enough, it's really corny by the WSOP. Actually, let the guy wear his thing. It's not going to matter. No one's buying the Super Main Event's not going on Netflix. Think about what. Like, yeah, it was good. Netflix. Just think about what we're saying. Like, imagine Netflix, the 25K Super. It's just Michael Adamo's just like, check raise, 3.4 million. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
but I think again, like, it's
Australian.
cheating from a business decision.
What accent do
from
I go
a
with?
business standpoint.
I'm Austrian. Sorry.
I'm just going to say, from a business standpoint, they don't want to do anything that could hinder their possibilities in the future. And I don't know. I'm very indifferent about it. I don't care one way or another. Like, if I had to sit there and watch Bonomo wear that while he played, fine, so be it. It like wouldn't have bothered me. But if it would have bothered anybody, I don't know. Why not be a little bit diplomatic about it, I guess. I don't
Crikey,
know. I don't know.
I suppose I'll check raise you to 3.4 million then.
That's better.
Is that exactly what he sounds like, too? Because he talks all the time at the table.
Yeah, I
watched the whole stream. He's a very talkative guy.
Was he actually?
No.
He doesn't say a word.
I didn't watch any of it. I was like, what? There's no fucking way that he's...
I did say I wanted to mention something that plays into this equation now, and maybe should have mentioned it earlier, but I think it's one of the reasons that Bonomo was motivated to wear the keffiyeh is that a week earlier, thereabouts, there was a charity event that took place during the WSOP Paradise that benefited the orphans and widows of fallen IDF soldiers. This was organized with Robbie Straczynski of Card Player Lifestyle, along with some other folks. And it was like a two-table thing, $10K buy-in, raised, I think, $140,000. And it wasn't highly publicized. In fact, even those of us on site didn't know about it until, I think, the day before. And obviously this upset Bonomo, and he took to Twitter about that as well, really saying, don't do this. And so in everybody else's, in everybody's eyes.
What was the charity for?
To benefit the orphans and widows of fallen IDF soldiers, from fallen Israeli soldiers. So from a Palestine perspective, you know, you're
sure,
raising money for the enemy, I guess. And I see. So my take on this being there was probably a poor decision on the WSOP, or at least one not thought out. It wasn't. This is going to be, people are going to blow back on this one because, yes, it did take place at WSOP Paradise. But in my mind, this wasn't a WSOP event. It was these organizers came to the WSOP and were like, hey, do you mind if we hold this here during this event? Maybe not unlike somebody comes and says, hey, do you mind if we hold some high stakes cash games here? And WSOP,
like Mike Vick with his dogfighting ring. They were just holding on his property, dude. It's good.
Well, and also, like, it's not like it was an event that people were forced to play. It was a side event meant to raise money for charity. If you don't like the cause, I guess you just don't participate in the event. But the fact that, yeah, you're right, like, it wasn't really publicized. Like, I didn't hear anything about it until Bonomo blasted it all over
and I'm
Twitter
sure that
pretty
was by
much,
design.
Yeah.
Like they knew they were going to catch blowback on it, I'm sure.
So why? I just don't understand why run it if you think you're going to catch blowback. It's for charity and you don't publicize it. Like, do you? That's weird, right? Like,
yes and no. It's obviously highly politicized. You don't want to run the risk of maybe getting it canceled for some reason. So, and like, look, they weren't appealing to everyday players, right? They didn't care.
Sure.
Like nobody's going to run in off the street and be like, here's 10K. Like they had a curated list of players that they knew were going to play it and then tried to recruit some others. And one heavy hitter that was behind this was, from my understanding, was Isai Scheinberg.
I swear to God, I was going to say, let's be real. There has to be some sort of heavy hitting wealthy person that is behind this that they want to appease, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. There has to be some there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's
That's
Scheinberg. I don't know.
that was my take, was that there were a lot of people, that were supportive of it behind the scenes, and Michael Kim, for whatever reason, forming that partnership or that relationship, said, yeah, go ahead with it. Now, obviously there was some blowback, but it did go forward. I will say this. A lot of people were saying, shouldn't this, this is ridiculous. The WSOP shouldn't support this. They should give half to this cause and half to the other. And then some people made a point of like, that's like saying there's an event for cancer and you're saying, well, half of that should go to heart disease.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have no problem with, all right, if a charity event wants to take place and the WSOP wants to be like, okay, you can hold it during this, I think that's okay if they're open also to, if Justin Bonomo, say, wants to come and say, all right, I want to throw a charity event now supporting the other side of this, can I then do that? Right? So if the WSOP was apolitical and said, yeah, it's fair game, we're just, whatever you guys want to do, we're here to do it, then great. But if they don't, then they are making a rather large political statement. So, but here's the thing, at the end of the day is, it really doesn't matter. Like, in terms of, it's not going to have an effect on the WSOP. People are still going to go there this summer. Justin Bonomo is going to go there this summer, and, the WSOP rolls on. And I think this is like one of these 1%er problems in the poker world, like we know it. Mm-hmm. We were watching it all on social media unfold, but like, Bob from Arkansas has no idea. He just wants to come play the Super Seniors this year.
Of course, yeah.
So regardless, though, it was definitely controversial. And I do think there was, a Bonomo-esque aspect to it, right? Everyone knows he's outspoken. They know he even said that he was doing this as a form of protest. So I do think there was some bias there. I don't know if they would equally enforce it in terms of political statements. I hope they do. We'll see. Maybe Mattisau makes a final table this summer that's going to be recorded on TV trying to wear a MAGA hat. And they say, no, you can't do that. I don't know if they will. I like to think they will, but we'll just have to see. There's definitely some precedents set in this whole debacle or shit show, or whatever you want to refer to it as. So, all right, let's talk some positive news.
Moving on.
Yeah, and let's talk about the super main event. And, we just mentioned that Bonomo was there. He made the final 3 tables. He went on to make the final table, and he was short stacked at that final table. And I want to make sure I pull up my recap here before I speak out of turn. So super main event was $25,000 buy-in. It got 1,972 runners, I believe it was, which set them a little shy of the $50 million guarantee, which we talked about last week. This was a long event. Phil Hellmuth stone bubbled. And going into the final table, you had some pretty big names. You mentioned Michael Adamo with your spot-on impression. Right?
Yes.
He was the chip leader going
Very
in.
good.
Bonomo was on the shorter stack. So Bonomo actually busted in 7th place for $1.3 million. And Adamo ended up going out in 7th for $1.65 million, or in 6th place rather, for $1.65 million. I think he got bluffed or something, right?
There was like a series of a few hands. There was one hand where I believe he had 2 pair, and what was the guy that won? Yinan Zhou. I don't want to say it wrong. Zhou.
Mr. Zhou.
Mr. Zhou.
Yeah.
So Adamo made 2 pair on the river, and Mr. Zhou I think had made a straight. Or no, it wasn't him. It was the other guy. It was the young kid. The
Marcelo Aziz.
It was Aziz.
Brazilian
Aziz
guy.
had made a straight, and he made a big river bet, and Adamo called. And then Mr. Zhou made a pretty epic bluff for almost all of his chips, quite literally almost all of them. And Adamo tanked for like a long time and folded like top pair, I think, and Mr. Zhou had made just a stone cold bluff and got him. So it was just like a series of a bunch of hands. And then I think he just kept getting, it just kept happening, and then all of a sudden he's short. So.
Well, Liv Bourret was there at the final table. That was a big story. She's largely retired from poker.
Yeah.
And she comes down, makes an appearance there, and ends up finishing in 4th place for $2.8 million, which I think I read was the largest ever tournament cash for a female player.
Yeah, I think she just passed Ebony. And also that was pretty impressive too, because she came in, I think second to last in chips or something, or she just folded like the entire time. She folded, and then all of a sudden, she's short, Adamo's short. They kind of go at it. It's one or the other now. At this point, she gets it in, I think, with King 8 suited, and he has Queen Jack suited, and she holds, and then just it was kind of an amazing run just to see the patience. She just knew the spot. She knew where she was at. She folded. She waited. Made another $1 million or so.
It was interesting. She tweeted that she made the final table, and one Elon Musk responded to said tweet just saying cool, because they're friends. They're actually quite friendly.
Saying cool.
But to have Elon Musk even acknowledge poker in that, that was pretty cool, I thought.
Do a Liv Bourret impression now.
A Liv Bourret impression?
British, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really got. I don't know. You can't just be like, do a Liv Bourret impression.
Do it.
You want to try the other guy I was going to talk about in 3rd place, Mustafa Kanit. Italian.
Are you guys trying to get me canceled?
3.6 million.
I feel like Italians are the only people you can like make fun of, and it's just like fine. Everyone's like,
it's me, Mario.
It's good. You're good. Yeah.
He's got one of the best mustaches in all of poker.
Yeah.
He ended up finishing in 3rd place for $3.6 million.
Bro, how much your stack is?
And
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
First place, Mr. Zhou, Yinan Zhou, takes it down for $6 million, defeating Marcella Aziz in a heads-up play. Just 24 years old, wins the super main event and a WSOP gold bracelet. Poker News actually has the final hand, which will run back-to-back with a winner's interview. So here is the final hand that clinched victory for Mr. Zhou and his winner's interview after.
This type of stack size. He's going to jam. This is going to get snapped. Let's go, call.
By the way, he called it before he even saw Aziz's hand, as though he knew.
And a call on the final table.
Into the record books. Aziz doesn't look rattled.
7 of diamonds, 5 of hearts, Jack of diamonds.
He doesn't look great on the Jack 7-5 board.
Turn 6 of hearts.
Both players hit the 6, and that changes nothing. Only a cowboy.
Finish.
River 6 of spades.
Trip
It's
6s
over.
for both.
Okay.
Ace kicker.
Vamos.
Yinan Zhou is your 2024 World Series of Poker Paradise Super Main champion, Randy.
I saw many legends playing, like Justin Bonomo. He is one of my idol.
Wow.
When I was young, and I play on the table and put my hands on my legs.
Yep, that's his. Yep.
Yeah, and today I play the final table with my idol. That's awesome. I come here for win. I'm not come here to fall. And people always regard Chinese players as like recreation. Many people think Chinese players cannot play best poker. And today I come here for win, and I get it. Take a pride to my country.
All right, let's talk about some other WSOP Paradise winners. One being the last tournament of the series. It was an awesome final table. Event number 15, the $5,000 closer. Daniel Negreanu was there. That was the big story. He ended up falling in 4th place for $65,000. He had Sean Deeb, Santosh Suvarna. It was Ebony Kenny.
Ebony, yeah.
She finished in 10th place. And ultimately, it was Nick Schulman defeating Ren Lin in heads-up play to win the tournament, $145,000 and his 6th WSOP gold bracelet. I mean, we just talked about Nick Schulman not that long ago, and especially as a name of like Poker Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Good
But
job.
we also said that about Scott Seaver. So like, you know, Mike, if you had to pick, if you had the deciding vote for Poker Hall of Fame next year, you had to do either Scott Seaver or Nick Schulman.
I'd have to have a side-by-side accolade thing, but like, wow, probably Seaver, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I might say Schulman just because it should be
I have no
looked at
idea.
more widely of, you know, contributions. And he does a lot of like commentary, does a lot of like hosting and stuff. I think they're pretty equal in their accolades, but like I think outside of playing accomplishments should count too.
So that's
Could it be close?
it's an interesting point because
It should just both get in.
Yeah, that's the easy answer, and then some. To speak to your point though, because I'm in agreement with you in that you should consider the whole picture. But I know a lot of the people in the Poker Hall of Fame who actually have the vote, like a Daniel Negreanu, don't. They don't care that Chris Moneymaker was a great ambassador. They look solely at his player accomplishments. And if you look only at that, then no, Moneymaker probably shouldn't have been in the Poker Hall of Fame. Back then, the media had a vote though, and the media felt different. Like we take the bigger picture.
Moneymaker should be in the Hall of Fame, I think.
He is.
He
Isn't
is, yeah, he is now. So, but
No, I'm just saying I disagree with Negreanu saying like that shouldn't count. I mean, it absolutely should. It's the Hall of Fame. Like,
well,
it's
regardless,
not the Hall of Skill.
That's a good point. Regardless, Nick Schulman should
point.
be in there and will be in there eventually. Scott Seaver as well. We had a quick little winner interview with Nick Schulman. Check it out.
I just wanted to make sure I tried hard and put my best foot forward because it's been a really long. I wasn't thinking I'm going to win this turbo for sure.
Yeah, and an absolutely stacked table. Coming into this as a turbo, do you feel that you had any sort of edge at all, or was it just all down to numbers?
I mean, I don't really look at it that way, but I feel good. You know, I felt ready to kind of stay relaxed and play as well as I can.
Of course. Well, we asked you in the summer at Hall of Fame, and you said, you know, you wasn't so sure back then, but hey, another bracelet to the name. Are you feeling maybe next year this could be something for you?
I don't know. You know, I'm being as honest as I can about it. It would mean a lot, but I don't really, you know, like I play poker for a living, and you know, I try to win more than I lose. Like, you know, I'm not trying to over whatever, but yeah, it's just where I'm at. Right?
All right, congratulations to Nick Schulman on winning bracelet number 6. Shout out to a couple of other winners. Johannes Straver won the WSOP GGMillions Championship. This was an exciting event because you had Phil Hellmuth at the final table, finishing in 8th place, made a run, but ultimately fell short. But Johannes Straver out of the Netherlands takes it down for $807,000. And then there was a $1 million invitational tournament. This was open to WSOP bracelet winners who played in the super main event or those who booked their 100K early bird packages or won a GG package to participate at the WSOP Paradise. Ended up being 487 players.
Oh, it's a $1 million free roll.
Free roll. Yeah, it was a bracelet event, but a free roll. Freeze out format, 487 players. It was a very turbo-ish, but it ended up being won by Pablo Silva out of Brazil. Pablo Silva has been around. He's been playing professionally for like 14 years, a crusher online. He's won $1 million at a Party Poker Millions event online. He won an EPT title last December, but this is his first bracelet, taking it down for $200,000. So pretty exciting for him and the whole Brazilian contingent. Before we move on to WPT talk, I do want to thank our sponsor for the Poker News Podcast, and that is the free-to-play WSOP app. Right now, they are doing their WSOP Vegas Vacation Sweepstakes. Actually just kicked off yesterday and is going to run through January 23rd. There are going to be 4 weekly drawings. And to get signed up, all you have to do is log on, and you will automatically be signed up. And there will be 4 winners who will win a trip to Vegas for 2, including round-trip coach airfare and 2 nights at a hotel, $1,000 Visa gift card. Terms and conditions apply, of course. You can check those out in the show notes, but it's that easy. Just download, sign up, and then play. And once a week at least, and you'll get signed up. There are 4 different periods, as I mentioned, running through January 23rd. It's a lot of fun. It's the #1 free-to-play app, the WSOP app. Check it out on PokerNews.com right now. All right, let's talk WPT. I wasn't there. Mike, you're wearing a Club WPT gold hat. Did they give that to you for bubbling that free roll there?
No, they gave it to me for doing the drawing thing where you get swag.
Oh, that's
I
what
have
you
7 of them. I got 7 of them. Every time I walked by, I went, let me get one. Every time they said no. And then I went, I broke my ankle. Just like that, swear to God. And every time they're like, oh, ask one of the girls. And I'm like, I broke my ankle. And yeah, so I have 7 of them now.
Well,
It's all I took from the win. I gave him $28,000 in cash and took home 7 hats.
I feel like we should do a giveaway for one of those at some point.
Yeah,
then.
we should. You
For
have so
one
many.
of my hats?
Yeah.
One of your 7 hats? Yes.
You guys can suck me. What are you talking about?
Seven hats.
Get your own goddamn hat.
I gave mine to Josh.
Okay, let's do a giveaway for one of my Club WPT
Yeah.
gold hats. I'm sure Mike didn't sweat in all of them. I'm sure they're fine.
You do have a tendency to lose hats. You've
Some
asked
people
me
pay
for
extra
many
for that.
Poker News hats
Yeah.
over the years.
I need more, dog. It's not about losing them. It's about what shit gets real in my life. And hats fall astray. They get dog hair, a little ketchup from Chick-fil-A. Whoop, squirt, how'd that happen?
You get food on your hat?
Don't worry about it.
Well, let us talk about the WPT World Championship. This was the $10,400 tournament. I'm trying to find the number of entries, and I don't see it offhand.
9,900. No, I'm not.
3,862. I'm pretty sure that's right.
You think that's for real?
Yes.
No, not even close.
It's a pure guess.
Let me look. I think I can find it right now.
I think it's less than
I knew
that.
where to look.
2,981.
There we go. 2,392.
So
I didn't wear my
close.
glasses today. So over $23 million in the prize pool. And it was won by a guy that we're very familiar with, at least, Scott Stewart.
Your boy Stu. Congrats. Stu is like a big mid-stakes like circuit grinder, and he plays a lot of the run goods. He lives in San Diego, so every time I go out to a San Diego stop, I see him out there. Or no, he doesn't live in San Diego. He lives in Long Beach. My bad. But yeah, it's just a great guy. Great to see somebody you know, somebody you've played with for such a long time, get such a big win. Congrats.
Yeah, he has 6 WSOP circuit rings. That's kind of how I know him too, from the circuit and the Run Good Poker Series. Always fun, jovial. In fact, the last time I seen him was this summer at Chris Hunichin, Big Hooney's 4th of July party.
Yeah.
We sat and chatted for a good bit. And so I was definitely like, secretly rooting for him.
Yeah, I was watching the stream, and a lot of people in the chat were rooting for him too. So he's got lots of homies, lots of buddies. So I'm sure he's in Vegas right now having a really great time.
Looking at these payouts, it looks like they were kind of generous. $2.5 million for the winner, and $2.2 million for second, and $2 million for. Or did they do?
They did a
say?
chop. So when there were 3 of them left, they
That's-
renegotiated the payouts, and then they played for it. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they waited until they got arguably the toughest player at the final table out in 4th place for $1.15 million. That's Chris Moorman finishing in 4th place in this tournament for the 2nd year in a row.
That's crazy.
I'll
Good
take
for
it,
him.
man. Yeah.
holy shit.
Dan Harrington-like.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Moorman, just a beast. Back-to-back final tables in the WPT World Championship. An amazing accomplishment. And you had to finish 4th back-to-back years. It's
Pretty
better
sick.
than finishing 9th back-to-back years like Mark Newhouse did in the WSOP
Mm-hmm.
main event. So it was, I don't know. I think you looking back on the WPT World Championship as a whole was a success. I mean, I wasn't there. I was in WSOP
It was
Paradise,
sick,
but
yeah.
From a player's perspective, from the buzz, what do you think? Kind of
It was cool. I mean, like, it was really fun to watch. I didn't play the main event, but I watched a lot of the stream. The commentating was great. The final 2 days, it was Jamie and Jesse, and then Jamie and David Lappin, and it was really, really great. Really long day, but I think it was really entertaining to even watch, and even though I didn't play. But yeah, lots of buzz around it, lots of hype. I went over there the other day to kind of watch one of the other side games, and it was still going on, still people everywhere. I saw a bunch of people playing day 2s, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. I mean,
No complaints.
I hated to miss it. There was another fun event I was paying attention to. This was the 25K WPT Alpha 8.
Yes.
We used to see a lot more Alpha 8s, but now it seems like just to be part of this festival. And coming out on top of that one was one Travis Egbert for $685,000 heads-up deal with Naz Ajaz for $600K there. Sam Savarell, Brock Wilson, Sean Winter, Igor Kurganov, Shannon Shore, all at that final table. Pretty stacked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We actually have a winner's interview with Travis Egbert. Check it out.
Travis, congratulations on winning the Alpha 8 25K. A really fierce field today. How did you feel it went for you?
It went good. It went as good as it could go, obviously.
2024 has been quite the year for you. The two WSOP main event circuit rings, and now this, and a third in a WPT main event. What's clicked for you in 2024 on the table?
I think just experience. I've been playing for a few years now, so as the experience keeps building, I feel more and more comfortable.
So, looking at some of your results over the last few years, this like the 25K is not something that we usually see you compete in. Was this a shot take, and has it paid off?
Yeah, this is my first 25K, and it has paid off.
Looking ahead now to next year, what does a score like this allow you to do for next year, or are you sort of keeping your feet on the ground at the moment?
I'm definitely keeping my feet on the ground. I'm not gonna do anything too crazy, except for a little. I mean, I'll probably play a couple Aria Studio ones. Other than that, I'm gonna keep playing at Thunder Valley, and coming here and WSOP in the summer.
Just before the heads up, you had quite an extensive heads up deal with Naj. You both settled on a 600K score. The heads up was quite swiftly. Is that something you're regretting now, or just it doesn't matter?
No, I'm happy. I think it was the smart decision for me, because obviously it's just a lot of money. It doesn't matter how rich you are. Like 300K for a heads up match is too much. Like unless you're, too much for me at least.
All right, well, those weren't the only winners at the WPT World Championship. It was a whole festival. There were some side event winners, and one of the big tournaments was this 3K No Limit Hold'em tournament, Kyna, that I know you were paying attention to.
Yeah, oh my God, I can't even believe how big that got. It was like 1,596 entries or something. I went to sweat the final table a little bit. Big names at the final table, too. Adam Hendrix was there, Ian O'Hara, and Jeremy Becker. And the prizes were just crazy. So like there were 9 left, and 9th got 67,000 and first got 700K. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, how did this event get so big? Like, you know what I mean? That's like a main event pretty much. So what a sick event. I guess Adam Hendrix and Ian did a deal and then played for the win, and Adam Hendrix came out ahead. So good job, Adam.
1,570 entries. So it was
pretty
massive.
close.
Yeah, $629,000 to Adam Hendrix, $541,000 to Ian O'Hara. So congrats to those guys. And another one, we mentioned him earlier in the show, Ren Lin.
Yeah.
So he was down at WSOP Paradise, and he was grinding hard. He was making many deep runs. He was in Negreanu's vlogs, if you watch Negreanu's vlogs quite a bit, Lady Gaga. And he, I guess, hightails it back to Vegas, jumps into one of the last tournaments, which was a 3K 6 max, and ends up winning it. He wins it for 180K a day or 2 days after he finished runner-up to Nick Schulman in that tournament.
Yeah. It's the epitome of who loves it more. Let's fly back from the Bahamas and jump in this 3K.
I mean, I like Ren Lin. He's a character.
He's a fun guy, yeah. I was watching some of Daniel's vlogs out in the Bahamas, and Ren Lin was in quite a few of them, and he's always, entertaining, and he made it pretty deep in the 25, the main event too. Yeah, he bubbled the final table or something. Yeah,
he is, and it's funny because he was at the final table of an online bracelet event, because they had 2 online events. And that final table got delayed due to some technical difficulties. And as we're recording this, it's still delayed.
Oh, wow.
Because Ren Lin kept going deep in, so I understand it's going to be playing out here in the coming days. It probably has already played out by the time this airs. But he could very well win a bracelet too.
Wow.
He's still in contention there. So a surprise winner, Mike, a little bit. It was Brad Owen. Did you see this one?
Yeah, that boy's winning a horse. He's horsing around.
He does. And just his 3rd ever horse tournament. It was a 2,200 horse championship event. He had a tweet saying this was his 3rd horse event ever, with the other 2 coming just earlier this month, right? And he's at a final table, stacked final table, Chris Vitch, Mike Leah, and do you know who else was there?
Jeff Madsen.
Your boy.
Hefe. I didn't know that.
How does Jeff let Brad Owen beat him?
You're not good enough friends with him, as I am. I knew immediately. I knew before he made the final table.
Really nice of you to say, Mike. Just go ahead and put me down.
Already
sad.
Well, I mean...
And what were we talking about again?
Brad Owen
beating Jeff Madsen in the stacked final
Brad
table.
Owens, he's a good guy. What a good man. Jeff Madsen, what a gentleman.
He did end up doing a deal, but ultimately got the trophy in $60,500 payday. I don't know. I thought this was a fun one because, Brad is not a mixed game player.
No.
Right? And he even said in the tweet, he didn't really care, and he felt like that gave him the freedom to, go out there and blast away, if you will, right? And ends up winning it. So
nice. Good job, Brad.
Yeah, he's got the razzle dazzle. He's a stud.
He is.
In Texas and in Omaha.
Well, that's pretty much it for WPT news that I have. I mean, it's in the books now. They're, now it's
until
the new
next year.
Yeah. Have to wait and see if it's going to be hard to top the $5 million free roll.
Yeah.
Make it $10 million. I don't know.
$1 billion. I believe Jamie said on the live stream that they were going to do $1 billion one next year. She said it. Mm-hmm.
We got to hold her to it.
Yeah.
Verbal is binding.
That is how that works, yeah.
I just want to give a quick acknowledgement to the WSOP has announced the dates for the summer series, right? Full schedule is not out. It's not going to come out. This is the number one question we get at Poker News is, when's the WSOP schedule coming out? It's going to be either late February or early March. Almost always in all my years. So don't expect it before then. But they did announce the dates that it's going to run from May 27th through July 16th, that the main event is going to start on July 2nd with the final table taking place over 2 days on July 15th and 16th. And a lot of the popular events are going to return, like the Seniors Championship, the Millie Maker, that sort of thing.
The bounty, the mystery bounty.
Yeah, the mystery bounty. Do you guys care? Some people get really excited that they announced the dates. Others are
I stopped caring about everything.
Well, I mean, we'll be here. When you decide to come around, WSOP, we'll be here.
No, I'm a slave to the machine. Take my rake and slap my ass.
A lot of wrecks like it though, right? Because now they can plan
their trips and everything. It's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, you should be able to plan. It's so important to get it out early for the recreational, the fun boys.
Yeah, hopefully they get like I said, the schedule out in a timely manner. But again, if I was a betting man, last week of February or first week of March traditionally. So, one last thing I want to mention, and that is a shout out to my colleague Connor Richards. He does the Life Outside Poker podcast. You've been on there.
Yeah. Who did he have on this time?
We had Jonathan Little.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
Who's coming off a great year himself. In fact, I have 2 Jonathan Little books here. You might have seen them. They are signed. I had them signed by him, Walt at WSOP Paradise, and we are going to give away these 2 books.
Oh, wow. Yay.
They're probably going to clip this little segment. We'll tweet it out and then just retweet it. And we'll select 2 winners at random to win these signed Jonathan Little books. And in the meantime, though, you should also check out the actual show, Life Outside Poker, with Jonathan Little. It's hosted by Connor Richards. They really get into it. Jonathan Little is one of those guys who, I think I talked to him a little bit down at WSOP Paradise. He's turning 40. Oh. And when you think Poker Hall of Fame, his name might not be the first that jumps to mind, but I think he definitely is deserving of consideration when you take both his playing career and the stuff he's done, with books and coaching and things like that. So I've contributed to a chapter to one of his books years ago. I've worked with him.
I have that book, I think.
Yeah, bring it in.
The one with all the people on? Yeah, I have that book.
Bring it in and I'll sign it for you.
Which book?
Excelling at No Limit Hold'em.
Oh, I have that, I think, or I had it at some point.
It's cool because a lot of different people wrote different chapters about different topics. So
yes,
you can pick and choose what you want to read and what you don't really care about.
Yes, I remember reading about that. I remember reading that book. Yeah.
Maybe I have to do an updated book. Maybe we should do a Poker News podcast strategy book. Can you imagine people having to learn from the 3 of us?
Yeah, I can imagine them learning from the 3 of us. I can imagine people paying $250 an hour to learn from the 3 of us.
I used to teach poker. I mean, I do still teach poker.
Okay.
Don't you act like you're the big shot here.
That's not.
Yeah, the 3 of us. Shut up.
There's only been one game of Gold Star at this table.
No, my apologies.
All right, I'm going to end this episode by showing a little clip of the Life Outside Poker podcast with Jonathan Little. Before we turn it to that, though, do us a favor, subscribe, review. We will be back in the new year with a bunch of new stories. And until then, we'll keep a seat open for you, but also check out this clip.
A long time ago, someone said something to me. It was something along the lines of, at some point in your poker career, you're going to run far worse than you ever thought possible. And, I've ran pretty bad sometimes, and it can get worse. And I recognize it can get worse. So when that happens, I will be fine because I'm properly bankrolled, and I think I have an edge in the game pretty clearly. And it's just a process of putting in a lot of volume at that point.
In those early years of running up that bankroll, did you have any big downswings, or were there any moments where it was scary?
So when I moved from limit hold'em to sit and goes, I got to the biggest games they had online back then, which was 30-60 limit hold'em, and I was kind of struggling to beat 30-60 limit hold'em back then. And so then I moved to sit and goes, and that went well for the most part. As soon as I bought my condominium and quit my job, I went on something like a $80K downswing, and what I decided to do was move down to $10 buy-in games instead of the $500 games I was playing, and win 100 buy-ins at every level. So 100 at the 10s, 100 at the 20s, 30s, 50s, 100s, and then I got back to the top. But I wanted to clearly prove I am profitable at this. Otherwise, because like I realized I could just be getting lucky for 10,000 sit and goes or whatever. Like maybe it happens, or maybe I'd gotten bad, or maybe the game was tougher for whatever reason. And so I wanted to do my best to try to prove that I was a winning player. But I came out of that downswing and survived.